7 a.m. and it's now time for the morning watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, how helpful is aid if we are wholly dependent on it? And in the second watch, examining the methods of the Grade 7 Academy Project in reading. For our social media question, we ask, has foreign aid made us too dependent? We're asking you to share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
All right, today's I quote says, "Love must be as much a light as it is a flame."
Okay, good morning, Joka.
Good morning, good morning.
What do you take from that one?
I have nothing right now, I'm blank. I'm just going to take it as it is.
Yes, you need some light to be shed on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, the first watch will be back after this break.
I may speak with different language of men, even of angels. But if I don't have love,
love is more than a word. It's a calling. And as Love 101, the family station, celebrates 32 years of love, we're inviting you to listen to the Morning Express Monday and Wednesday to Friday at 11 a.m. for Let's Talk Love.
Let's talk about love.
A special anniversary series exploring love in action. Monday, we'll look at what does it really mean to love. Let's define love from a biblical perspective and talk up the things for real. Wednesday, we're looking at love thy neighbor, even when it's not easy. And sometimes it don't easy. Thursday, love in the church, healing from church hurt and restoring unity. Friday, love in community. How do we love those God has placed around us? Don't miss Let's Talk Love, Monday and Wednesday to Friday at 11 a.m. during Morning Express, right here on the family station, Love 101.
love is not easily unlearned. Keep no record of wrong.
It's the Creative Jesus Guy, Darren Mitchell. Mark your calendars for a live 1 to 5 on February 14 as we celebrate 32 years of the family station Love 101. For over 3 decades, Love 101 has been a beacon of hope, faith, and inspiration. And now, it's your turn to share how the station has impacted your life. Call in, send a message, or join the conversation as we reflect on the journey and give God all the glory for 32 years of ministry and love. Don't miss the celebration. Live 1 to 5 with me, Darren Mitchell, only on the family station, Love Love 101.
That all the rest can give a lie. So I'm alive.
February is the month of love, and on the next campus connection, we'll be focusing on love and relationships.
Is having an intimate relationship at Valentine's a priority for you? How can they deal with relationship issues in a seemingly toxic environment?
What should young people do to develop and maintain positive relationships with the opposite sex? Well, let's hear from Mr. Ronaldo Ross from the STFSU.
Mrs. Kimoy Callum, Passion and Purity. Mr. Shamario Dunn, architecture student at the University of Technology. On Tuesday, February 11 at 5:30 p.m. on the family station Love 101.
Campus Connection is brought to you by Heart NSTA Trust. Skill is power. That's Campus Connection, Tuesday, February 11th at 5:30 p.m. Only on the family station Love 101. Celebrating 32 years of sharing hope and touching hearts.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, there is an African proverb which says, when you depend on someone to feed you completely, you have given them power to starve you. End of quote. Now, be that as it may, for many years, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has assisted in funding much needed projects, programs, and personnel across the globe. However, a few days ago, President Donald Trump reportedly posted on his Truth Social page that USAID's spending is, and I quote, totally unexplainable. Close it down. End of quote. And as they say, the rest is history. So what are the issues and implications associated with this new development? Well, to discuss this, we have online so far Bishop Robert Ellis, pastor of the Pentecostal Sanctuary and Cathedral in both Kingston and Clarendon. He's also a lecturer and an author. Good morning to you, Bishop Ellis. Good morning, Bishop Ellis.
Morning, are you hearing me?
Yes, hearing you now. How are you doing?
God bless you. I'm doing well. Morning to you and listeners.
Yes, thanks. We hope to be joined by Nancy Pinhas of the CVSS, and we are still trying to make contact with her. In the meantime, Bishop, you know about the USAID's recent developments in terms of the closures.
Yes.
Generally speaking, what are your concerns or commendations in light of that event?
Well, there is cause for concern because there are many agencies that do very good work and very needed work that are being affected. And there are nations like Haiti
Yes.
who survive on the help that they can get from nations like America, who will be seriously impacted, and there'll be a lot of suffering because of this withdrawal. So I think the leaders of America, they are being numb to the plight of many when they do something like this.
Mm. And in Jamaica in particular, you mentioned Haiti. Any concern in terms of Jamaica?
Well, there is concern because, you know, a lot of help projects that depend on these kind of aid will be affected. And I am even less concerned about Jamaica than some countries like Haiti.
Oh.
Because, you know, Jamaicans are resilient.
Haiti is not.
No, I don't think they have the kind of wiggle room that Jamaica has, and they don't really have the kind of space that can allow them to absorb shocks like those. There will be an impact in Jamaica, but I do believe that being the resilient people we are, eventually we will acclimatize. If the aid don't return, I believe we'll acclimatize and find a way to do the essential things that need to be done.
Interesting. I gather we know. Okay, she's not yet online. Bishop Ellis, the Minister of Information, in response to the recent development, has reportedly stated, and I quote, "It's very important to remember that there is nobody coming to our rescue. We have to be independent." Right? End of quote. What are your thoughts in that regard?
Well, I think she's on point because
nobody's coming to our rescue.
Yes, eventually, as an independent nation, our destiny lies in our hand. When we assert our sovereignty, we also assert our responsibility to take care of the things that we need to make us a prosperous nation. So we do appreciate the assistance that we can get from multilaterals, but if those are not forthcoming, we as a people have to find a way to make it work for us, and we are indeed grateful for the help from these agencies. But ultimately, what is given as help is not guaranteed. And we have to just recognize that the only thing guaranteed is what we as a sovereign nation is able to put our shoulders to the wheel and craft.
Interesting. I gather we now have online Nancy Pinhas, Executive Director at the Council of Voluntary Social Services. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, good to have you with us. The Council of Voluntary Social Services, before we go any further, for those who do not know or may have forgotten, what is that about?
The Council of Voluntary Social Services is a very old umbrella organization which actually was started and arose out of the social welfare movement in the 1940s when Jamaica was reeling from the economic conditions of the time post-World War II. And it was set up to really support those entities and those civil society organizations comprised largely of volunteers back in those days who supported those individuals most in need. In fact, Norman Manley was the instigator and one of the founding individuals for this movement. And the CVSS really has remained firm to its mandate from 1940 to support, strengthen, advocate, and collaborate with civil society organizations across Jamaica.
So the recent developments in terms of U.S. aid, is it directly impacting your organization?
No, the CVSS is not a recipient of any funding from the United States, whether USAID or any other entity. So no, we were not directly hit, but a lot of our partner agencies and member agencies have been directly and indirectly.
Yes, and we want to talk more about that. I think we are now approaching a break, so let us do that and we'll be right back.
See more on the road. Discover a new and convenient way to send money abroad with the GP One app. Download GP One from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. Send with Western Union today. The time by Grace Kennedy Remittance is
7:15. Imagine opening a bank account without ever leaving your home. Well,
CIBC Caribbean, we've changed the game. Open a new CIBC savings or checking account completely online using your computer or phone, anywhere, anytime. No need to visit the bank, no waiting in line. Just apply, verify, and sign your documents, all online. It's secure, seamless, and 100% digital. Open your new CIBC account by applying online today.
Love is in the air with Florida Based Valentine's. Get connected with Yard and Road and you put something extra in your card. Sign up for Yard and Road for only $6,300 plus GCT and get a supermarket card valued at $15,000. Perfect for stocking up on ingredients to make a romantic dinner or getting sweet treats for your sweet. Represent offer ends February 15, 2025. Follow your heart to a close store today or visit discover.com. Conditions apply.
Are you looking for modern faucets to transform your home or commercial property? Then Home Faucets is your place to be. We are located at Shop 42 Small, Caledonia Road, Mandeville, Manchester. We also provide free island-wide next-day delivery. Contact us on Instagram at Home of Faucets by telephone at 876-492-4810 or homeoffaucets.com. Home of Faucets, contributing to modern satisfaction.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And this is the first watch. We're asking the question, how helpful is aid if we are wholly dependent on it? And in so doing, we have online Nancy Pinhas, who is the Executive Director at the Council of Voluntary Social Services, CVSS. And also we have online Bishop Robert Ellis, pastor of the Pentecostal Sanctuary and the Cathedral in Kingston and Clarendon. Nancy Pinhas, before we were able to connect with you, Bishop Ellis Adam shared some of the concerns that he has in regards to the recent developments, U.S. aid. What are your concerns in that regard?
I mean, my concerns are for the thousands of beneficiaries, whether it's in the areas of health, youth empowerment, we have an environmental and climate action. I am concerned about the cessation of all activities under those very critical components. Those actions and those projects are geared towards improving the lives and the livelihoods of Jamaicans. That particular youth empowerment initiative implemented, typically it's a large project by a consortium of overseas and local, maybe more than one civil society organization who specialize peculiarly in understanding communities that are particularly sensitive and where the youth are not afforded opportunities to seek other forms of economic livelihood other than crime. So these types of projects are really important for arresting and turning the corner on Jamaica's deepening crime and violence crisis. So I'm not quite sure why the word wholly dependent on it. This is peculiarly called, it is called aid because it is to assist. We are dependent on it because these civil society organizations are not able to, by virtue of being non-profit organizations, typically have no other source of revenue other than applying for and implementing actions to oversee sometimes local corporate donations. But these large long-term initiatives typically come from larger organizations such as USAID, European Union, and others.
So is it that there are no other funding agencies associated with those organizations that you mentioned?
When you say there are no other funding agencies associated with local...
Yes, on local level. Apart from USAID.
There's the Inter-American Foundation.
American.
And that one also funding has closed on that. There are a number of other organizations. There's out to the U.S. Embassy sometimes funds small projects in Jamaica, not clearly at this scale, and they're a little bit more responsive. But USAID has largely made significant sums for long-term projects which hope to be impactful as we really seek to achieve Vision 2030. Because most of these objectives are very consistent with what the government is attempting to achieve under its own social and welfare programs. So these are important programs.
Yeah, how you respond to those who might say that it was too dependent on such organizations?
I'm not quite sure why we would be too dependent, and I don't know what the alternate would be. I mean, the government of Jamaica alone receives in 2022, and this is what they call official development aid. So this is to and through the government of Jamaica, whether it's for its loans, grants, and technical assistance. It's a total of US 1.4 billion in 2022. Of that, the grant portion was much lower, and it was only 69.6 in grants. And those again were to implement social support programs, environmental programs, health, social, environment and climate and education programs through the government of Jamaica. We are well classified as a middle income country. We have what we call this income inequality. So the numbers may look as though we're classified as a middle income country, but we have a disproportionate number of our population that live in conditions that they're not really able to realize their full potential. They're not able to achieve their education and income outcomes without this type of assistance. So, until we, I guess, achieve some of those structural deficiencies, are we really going to start to grow a middle class and see our middle income status fully realized across all stratas of Jamaican society? So we are dependent for this portion of funding, but we simply do not have the resources. And the government does implement under its own budget, out of its own revenue stream, certain actions towards obviously achieving these 2030 goals.
Yeah.
But we cannot do it all.
Yeah. Bishop Ellis, apart from the concerns that you have raised earlier, there are those who perhaps would argue that, of course, the U.S. has all right to shutter this funding that they have been doing for years, and it is up. The whole thing is up. It goes with the idea that they're going to cut, their spending. It is a means of them ensuring that their economy is lean.
I missed you a while ago.
Yeah. I'm just saying that there are those who would argue that America has all right to do what they're doing in shutting down this USAID situation, because they need to cut their spending generally. How would you respond to that?
That one was for me, Rev?
Yes, Bishop Ellis.
Oh, okay. Well, we are to be our brother's keeper, and we're in a global community. And there are populations who definitely do not have the means and the resources to do some of the basic things for their citizens. And countries who can have an obligation to help, because the world cannot be a happy place when you have large blocks of population facing misery and suffering. So we have an obligation as humans to help where we can. And these nations who benefit from some of the resources of smaller nations and poorer nations, I think they have an obligation to assist humanity where needs arise. And as I mentioned, Haiti, a country that is struggling, that have been abused and faced many difficulties brought on by some of the first world nations, I think there is an obligation to help those people because they can't help themselves out of the pit that they have found themselves in.
Yeah. But Bishop, there are also those who are saying that when they look on the organization that have been funded, it seems as if organizations that deal with gay rights and all of that are part of this funding. And they're saying, it's perhaps a good thing coming out of this. That they're, shutting down these these organizations that seem to be advocating those things. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's throwing out the baby with the bathwater and cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Mm-hmm.
There may be that in the mix, but those funding, I don't know the percentage, but there may be a very small part, I suspect, of the total funding in comparison to the many health projects, the many poverty alleviation projects, the many projects to help shore up environmental, vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Just to shut down those, I don't think that is the best approach. If we don't want those organizations operating, there should then persons who, like the church, who have that conviction, we lobby against them. There are other forums where we can express our displeasure and highlight our moral conviction on these issues. But to shut down a whole gamut of aid just to get a few voices silent is running contrary to what I believe
True, yeah, the baby with the bathwater. Interesting. Nancy Pinas, what's your take on that?
Yes, I think the Bishop made a very good point. I think the inefficiency to, for lack of a better word, of absolutely without warning, without following a due process of scaling down and scaling back and maybe mothballing some of these significant programs is extremely inefficient. I mean, the headline today, the previous ambassador to the United States made the point that there's aid rotting in ships. Because when that order was made, absolutely nothing was leaving a U.S. ship to go ashore. The same principle in Jamaica. We have, activities which are mid-program, which have picked up momentum. We have individuals who are coming for services that are scheduled. And without warning, to absolutely just close these operations. Nobody would run a business like that. It certainly doesn't spell rational sense. Notice proper winding up inventories, maybe mothballing. I suspect they are going to revamp some of these programs. I am confident that once the president has, I guess, a little more dialogue and understands the global implications of this aid, and the implications, in fact, to America's economy of ensuring that the countries that surround it are allies of America, economically viable, and they are not vulnerable to other nations that may have a long-term negative impact on America, both politically and otherwise.
Yeah, so quickly, Nancy Pinas, in about 30 seconds, what could we do in Jamaica now going forward?
The only thing I think we need to do right now is seek the assistance, I think, from the government of Jamaica. I know resources are skinny.
Oh, yes.
But see if we can wind up these projects efficiently, quietly, maybe keep some of the basic
billions of dollars,
absolutely dire going.
Yeah, billions of dollars. I don't know how much help the government can give in that regard.
No, not very much. But I think, just to see if we can keep some of the basic services going until a decision is taken by the U.S. government.
Yes. Okay. Thank you both for joining us this morning. Very insightful, interesting. And we hope that going forward, we'll be able to weather this storm as best as possible. God bless you both.
Thank you very much.
Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
It's impossible with a little
Joined by Gem Bank is
7:30.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. Further my education, and I make mama proud.
wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
It's our business to know how much is being spent in what areas from education to healthcare.
From roads to security, because our taxes help pay for it.
So, the national budget is our business.
The national budget is my business.
It is my business.
The national budget is my business and yours.
The national budget is everybody's business because it impacts every Jamaican. Visit the Ministry of Finance's website at mof.gov.jm for more information.
Good evening to you. I can't wait to get home.
Sometimes, all you want to do is get home, to the place where you feel safe, where it's all your own and you can spend time with family. But one last game of Libby, please.
Alright.
NHG, the key to your home, has home builder and home buyer loans to help you get home. And if you're planning to fix up the home you have, our home improvement loans will help bring those ideas to life. With the NHG, there are more possibilities for you to get home.
Possibility. Turn a dream home into reality.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Gleaner, TAJ establishes program to help taxpayers settle outstanding sums. Also in the Gleaner, more than gay rights. Former U.S. Ambassador Moreno laments short-sightedness of USAID critics, saying agency did far more work in Jamaica. In the Observer, victim dilemma, judge recommends technology-driven notification system as absence affects court cases. Also in the Observer, militant nurses demand overtime pay issue be settled. In Loot News, JLP deserves 50 seats and more if elections about achievements. If the elections are, it is actually saying, are about achievements. And also entertainer Kiprich slapped with criminal charge. Those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we will read for you some of the feedback from our social media question. Has foreign aid made us too dependent? We're asking to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Valentine's Day is coming, a time when many plan Valentine surprises and celebrations, all in the name of love. And February has been dubbed the month of love, a time when many focus on showing affection and connection with loved ones. But let's pause for a cause and also find out what true love is, where does it come from, and what are the biblical rules of engagement. This Tuesday on The Rock, host Pastor Steve Harold Blair and guests Silton Townsend and George Scott we look at love. Love is. Don't miss the discussion as Love 101 celebrates anniversary week activities leading up to the anniversary on February 14. That's The Rock, this Tuesday at 10 a.m. on the family station Love 101.
Love 101 is 32 years old, and what a journey! Join me, Jakar Dyer, for Anniversary Week as we share our version of the Gospel Music Hall of Fame, where we honor local gospel music legends, pastors, or community leaders who have made significant contributions to the gospel music scene. Listen all week, Monday, February 10 to February 14, Valentine's Day, as we share one each day during Anniversary Week. So stick and stay with us on the family station, Love 101. Happy 32! It's the Creative Jesus Guy, Darren Mitchell. Mark your calendars for a live 1 to 5 on February 14 as we celebrate 32 years of the family station Love 101. For over 3 decades, Love 101 has been a beacon of hope, faith, and inspiration. And now, it's your turn to share how the station has impacted your life. Call in, send a message, or join the conversation as we reflect on the journey and give God all the glory for 32 years of ministry and love. Don't miss the celebration. Alive 1 to 5 with me, Don Mitchell, only on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answer today's question. Has foreign aid made us too dependent? Jokal.
All right, so let's read what Cherry had to say. Cherry sent us a WhatsApp message. It says, "Good morning. As a country, one has to learn and balance themselves as to not to become too dependent on any foreign aid. For a fact, they can and will starve you in many ways in the name of power."
Mouthful there. Thank you, Cherry. And so we now segue into the second watch. One high school principal has reported having, and I quote, students who are reading below the primary school level, students who cannot even identify letters or letter sounds, and students who do not know 2-letter words. These are students coming in high school. End of quote. Now, this is not unique. However, a group of concerned educators have come up with a plan, and they call it the Grade 7 Academy Project. So, is this a solution to the aforementioned problem? To discuss this, we have joining us this morning Mrs. Grace Baston, Grade 7 Academy Project Coordinator. Good morning, renowned past Principal Baston. Good morning, Mrs. Baston.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Alan.
Good to have you with us on the Morning Watch. Yes.
Good to be here.
Yes. What really is the Grade 7 Academy Project, and when did it become a reality?
All right. So the Grade 7 Academy Project is an attempt, a very ambitious attempt, to kind of to authorize, it's the verb our leader likes to use, the illiteracy Clayton's education system. So you commented, you shared a comment of a principal a few moments ago, and I think the country knows that at the end of our year of high school, grade 11, we're still having too many of our children not leaving us with 5 subjects with English and math. Worse, some of them leaving us still illiterate, functionally illiterate, right? We've heard this over and over. So this effort, this initiative is an attempt to address that. Now, we are convinced, we are persuaded, we don't believe the jury is out on the fact that where that needs to be addressed is in the early years, early childhood, primary school. By the time a child gets to grade 7, he or she should be ready for that curriculum, literate, numerate, do that. That the problem should have been handled earlier. But we have children now, as you see, coming to high school in grade 7, who can't wait for that change to happen. They have come, of 160 of them, 30% of them reading below grade 1, what they call primer, pre-primer, below pre-primer, or basically illiterate. And this effort then is to address that. What can we do in the first year of high school? So what we're doing is we're treating it as a pre-high school year. We've got permission from the ministry to do that, to suspend the normal first form curriculum, grade 7 curriculum, and treat this year as a pre-high school year, where our ambitious goal is to get at least 75% of the cohort reading well enough, grade 6 and beyond, to be able to actually engage the high school curriculum. That's the project. And it's really coming from a conviction that the issue of education is a justice issue, that we do our children an injustice if we send them through 11, 12 years of schooling and they come out not reading, not literate, not literate.
Yes. There might be those who are asking why grade 7 and not from the earlier grades.
Right. So as I said, we believe this should happen earlier, and we see that efforts are being made with teacher training and so on to address that. What is problematic for us is, even as that is going on, and we didn't want to just, we could find that effort, but the fact is, these 7th graders are the people now who are next in line to graduate, people who can't function. We don't want to be graduating people who were then going to be burying a year after because they chose antisocial ways of behaving. They joined gangs. They're dropping out in 9th grade. There's a present danger, clear and present danger right there for our first form.
Yes. I'm sure that you have pilot projects that will be have been or are being utilized in this regard. Which school or schools have been involved in the project so far?
Right. So really, this is the pilot. They chose the Holy Trinity High School because this mission is originating at St. Michael's College, Theological College, being led by a group of educators, as you said earlier. They're headed by Deacon Ronald Swift, who is president of the college, Mr. Joseph Pereira, former deputy principal of the University of the West Indies, Mr. Anton Thompson, myself, Dr. Faith Alexander. So, the school we chose was a Roman Catholic school. The Catholic Church has a commitment to try to bridge the serious gaps in student attainment from one of its schools to the next, right? We have very high-performing schools, and then we have schools that are struggling. So Holy Trinity is one such, and we chose to start there. But we're also beginning in a delayed way to work with the students at Newell High School in St. Elizabeth. The Bread Foundation and their chairman, Mr. Hensel, have been very enthusiastic and have, even though it's delayed, wanting us to start the program there. So Holy Trinity, though, is where we began in September, a couple of meetings in August, because, we had to recruit the right teachers and so on and have training. Began in September. By the time we got all the software and everything in place, we were starting in October.
Yes. And they were chosen, you mentioned 2 schools there, right? And any particular reason why those schools were chosen?
As I said, we chose Holy Trinity because it's a school, under the auspices of the
Roman Catholic Church.
Right. Kingston, that's right. And it was performing. It's one of the schools where the children coming into first form have that profile I described earlier. It's clearly in need. And Newell, as I said, because once Mr. Hensel got wind of it, heard of it, and that was just through a conversation with me, he was adamant that if this was at all possible, we could do it at Newell. Okay. But I can tell you just had a conversation with St. Mary's College, and
before we go
there are lots of cases that need an intervention like this.
Yeah, before we go there, Mr.
We are laser focused on getting it right.
Yeah, we're up on a break, Mr. Baston. We'll come right back to that. Soon back.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
The February 550 sales event at Home and Things is here. Take $5 off every $50 you spend. Save big on the brands you know and trust, from beautiful Spanish and Brazilian tiles to exquisite bathroom fixtures and faucets from Corona, Coin, and other top brands. Check out stylish doors, windows, paints, and home decor that inspire beauty and elegance. It's the February 550 sales event happening now. Open Hope Road and Thompson Spring Road.
Ready to make your business like schools ready. Register for the MSME Business Roadshow on February 20 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the GCM Power Park, Clarendon. Join the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce in collaboration with the Inter-American Development Bank to access MSME support, government incentives, and financing opportunities. Plus, win up to $400,000 in business cash grants. Register now for the MSME Business Roadshow at roadshow.mic.gov.jm. See you there.
February is the month of love, and on the next campus connection, we'll be focusing on love and relationships. Is having an intimate
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and this is the second watch. We're examining the 7th grade academy project. And in so doing, we have online the coordinator of that project, Mrs. Grace Baston. Welcome to you again, Grace Baston. Still with us?
Yes, I'm right here.
Great, right. So before the break, you were telling us about the Holy Trinity High School and the Newell High School in St. Elizabeth. And are there any others that are now being looked at?
No, not right now, because remember, this is our start. You asked about the pilot. This is the pilot.
So the pilot.
We want to make
okay.
That's right. We want to make sure that we have proof of concept. We're making sure we document for purposes of scaling, and replication.
Yeah.
But as I said before, we are focused on making this work. It's a very ambitious goal, but we need to see that it actually happens.
Yeah. Can you walk us through the daily outworkings of this project? How will it really work?
Okay, so let's see how it works. So first of all, one of the big requirements was the flexibility to change the curriculum. So we are not doing the normal national standards curriculum. Special curriculum has been written for language arts. We're following another curriculum for numeracy. The timetable has been stripped down to language arts every day, maths every day. The children do an hour of performing arts or an hour of a skill subject, go to the farm or in the workshops, and they have an hour of what we call Christian living. It has some components of the HFLE, but it really is our attempt at some character formation. Because the three goals of the project, it's improve levels of numeracy, improve levels of literacy, and improve socialization. Our children come to us from, very difficult circumstances at home. Some of them have had horrible, adverse childhood experiences. There's a high level of aggression. So we have to work very hard on that. Okay, so we have the flexibility with the timetable. An hour of language arts every day, the uninterrupted instruction followed by 40 minutes of practice on special software. An hour of math every day, followed by 40 minutes of practice on software. So another component, finding the right teachers. I tell the teachers all the time, the most important quality we're looking for is their commitment to the children, their care for them, their being able to see beyond the aggression and beyond all the hardness and the walls these children have put around themselves, to see these children in all their potential and all their beauty. That's the first thing. Then we're looking for some teachers with specializations in literacy and numeracy, and a commitment, because it's a lot more work. The teachers we meet every single Monday afternoon, apart from their normal planning on Thursdays, just to discuss the academy students, drilling down to every single one and their unique needs.
Just pick up in right there, Mrs. Baston. The teachers, will it be the teachers that are already there at these two schools as pilot projects, or teachers will be brought in?
Right. So let's just say that. So for Holy Trinity, what we had to do, because we were changing the ratio, we asked the ministry to only send us 160 students, please, in September. We want no more than 20 children in a room, 20 students in a room, so the ratio is 1:20. And that meant for scheduling purposes, and because we wanted the teachers teaching exclusively in the academy, we didn't want teachers who were stretched across other grade levels. We had to do some hiring. So we did use maybe 2 or 3 of the teachers who were already on staff, because the administration said these teachers would fit. But we had to hire, and we were able to do that because Holy Trinity had some posts that were not activated on its establishment, and so we were able to hire. So we do have a mix of newer teachers and teachers who were on staff previously.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. So how it works then is, and then see, the philosophy is, first of all, we must have order. We must, as much as possible, have order. So the academy looks like a little school in a school. It's the way it's physically set up. Its buildings are close together. We've been able to help to beautify so that we can soften the environment. We've put rubber tips on all the chairs and the desks to cut down on the noise in the classroom. We've insisted on lines as they move from one place to the next. But order is extremely important. Then a key component of this project is the use of the technology. So God bless e-learning and Gordon Swaby, we were able to get all the devices we needed, as well as the bandwidth, the internet connection we need. So every single classroom on that block is able to be online at the same time. We don't all have to go to a computer lab. And the children are engaged with their AI tutors and the software in a way that sometimes it's difficult for a physical teacher to engage them, practicing every day. Yes.
Yeah. Sounds very interesting. What are the challenges, though, that you have been finding so far?
Hello? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the challenges so far, Mrs. Baston. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you now.
Yeah, the challenges so far. Can you tell us about some of those?
Right. What have the challenges been? Well, funding. Funding in particular for nutrition. Nutritional support. I heard the Minister of Education recently talk about food insecurity for so many of our students, and that is a factor. So we have been trying to improve student attendance and punctuality. Already our rates in the academy are higher than the schools. We have higher attendance rates, higher punctuality rates, but we're not satisfied. We'd like them to be perfect. And part of the difficulty there, we think, is nutritional support. Not having breakfast in the morning, not having enough bus fare to come out. It's financial, some of it. But the food part, we've started to provide a modest porridge breakfast for some of our students. Apart from 60 who are on pass, there's another 50 who would benefit from this. So nutritional support is a problem. We have good, we believe, home school engagement, but not good enough. We had 75% of our parents turn out for report card day, which again is higher than the rest of the school, but we want more than that. So this business of working with home to see so that we're on the same page about our goals for student achievement.
Yeah.
One of our big challenges right now is we need what you call a floater teacher, somebody who is the students are not to be left unsupervised at any time. So the block needs a a teacher who is moving around, also helping with supervision of other teachers, but very much a presence in the event a teacher has to be absent. So those are some of our challenges right now.
And so far, what would you say are the successes?
Oh, Mr. Toussaint, I'm very encouraged so far. I mean, you asked at the start, is this the solution? I don't know. I don't believe in silver bullets, but I do believe we have a duty to try. We must find a way. And this, what the improvements, the gains we're seeing in literacy are very encouraging. So we're measuring in we're measuring in 4 ways. One, the software we're using has a built-in reading indicator. So in September, the children, it's called a reading progress indicator. All of them did that. So we have their scores there. It puts them, it says you're reading at grade 2.3, you're reading at grade 4.1, and so on. It's sensitive that way. Then we use that indicator again in December. So you're talking about roughly 8-9 weeks of instruction and practice on the software. How did they do? And according to that indicator, 62% of the children have gained 0.5 of a grade level in their reading. Another 12% between after 0.5, 0.6 to a whole grade level. And then another 12% beyond one grade level. So that's very, very encouraging, according to the reading progress indicator, which is the diagnostic tool built into the software. But that's just the software telling you that the software is doing well. So what we've done now, what we are in the process of doing, is there's another indicator that we use across our schools in Jamaica, the IDRI, and that was administered as well in August, September, when the children first came in. And now we're re-administering that. We started in December. We're still, it's much more time. It takes a longer time to do. Not just they sit down on a computer and answer a few questions. No, you have to interview the child and have them read for you. And that is showing impressive gains. A child who was reading at pre-primer, now being able to read up to grade 1, which means they skipped primer, or grade 2, which means they skipped 2 years. A little girl that was featured in the paper, I think she was reading at grade 5. When I did the IDRI, she just boxed off the grade 8 reading, and her comprehension was superb and her fluency was excellent. And she acquired that much more vocabulary. So, but not in every instance. We have a minority that are still, that haven't moved. They were non-readers, they're still non-readers. Those now we have had to pull with our apps coaches. We've designed the intervention for them and then found the software to support that.
Yes, it sounds all encouraging, I must say. Very quickly, we don't have much time at all left to discuss, but any future plans that you'd like to share quickly in about 30 seconds?
In about 30 seconds. Well, let me just add very quickly that a huge part of this is rewarding the children. Pizza party at the end of the month for whoever's done best, points and stars everywhere. A huge part of it is getting them believing in themselves and progressing. Future plans are big. What we have to think through right now very carefully is what happens in grade 8. We've created a little bubble down in first form, with these children, with the teachers' very special attention. What happens in grade 8 and beyond? The administration and ourselves are working that out very carefully. And obviously, the big plan is, if this does work, and it seems very promising, how prepared are we and what are the mechanisms that we're going to use to be able to scale this?
Well, we got to leave it there. Thank you.
The questions facing us.
Yes.
How is it to be scaled? I know that we
have to leave it there.
School.
Yeah, we have to leave it there.
Interested in funding that, but we have to think carefully through the mechanisms. Where teachers going? This team can't do it.
We have to leave it there, Mrs. Baston. Thanks so very much. Right, it sounds good, and best wishes going forward. Okay. Great.
Use of the software, etc.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Baston. All right. Listeners, as we close our discussion today, we're asking to join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information, how to get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968 959627. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer Kathy Gale and our guest. I'm Dylan Toussaint, and you're back to Love in the Morning with Jokal Daya.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness, we are committed to the values of care, compassion, excellence in service, integrity, teamwork, and innovation as we work to safeguard the health of our nation. The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is...
Time is now 8 a.m. and you're now invited to listen to